Howdy, my name is Trevor, and this past week I worked a multi-day tour up in Yellowstone National Park and saw some incredible animal behavior that I am about to share with you all. The 4 days we were up there, we saw all kinds of cool critters, and I got some amazing footage and photos of the animals that I saw. So while in Hayden Valley, I got to see some wolves, which was really exciting. So about 3 wolves, and it's believed that they were part of the Molly's pack, which is pretty neat. And saw some grizzly bear action in Hayden Valley as well. But while watching the grizzly bear, there was this one moment where this bald eagle was soaring around and then dove down toward the water to catch a fish, grabbed the fish, and it just fell into the water and could not fly back out. So what it did, I got a video of it, it used its wings and breaststroke itself to the shore, and then it climbed out of the water with this huge trout and 1 talon. And it was incredible how big this fish was, and just watching the eagle row itself to shore. And it's the first time I have ever seen an eagle do that. So it was definitely a rewarding sight. Well, after a few more hours spent watching the eagle and also the grizzly bear that was nearby, the grizzly bear eventually went down to the river, Yellowstone River, and then it crossed the river, and then it started hiking toward the road. But before doing so, it came to like this wetland area where there was this Sandhill Crane. Well, the crane, it was protecting a nest, and a grizzly bear was going right at the nest. But when a grizzly bear got close, the crane, it spread its wings way out and held its ground. And then the grizzly bear lunged at the crane, and the crane dodged. And that's when I started recording, and the crane continued to scream. Kind of like that. Got some Sandhill Crane screaming right now. Yeah. So the crane screamed at the grizzly bear as the grizzly bear went up to the eggs, ate the eggs, and then eventually continued on crossing the road and disappearing in the forest. And it was so cool seeing a Sandhill Crane having a standoff with a grizzly bear. This big predatory animal that is easily capable of taking down a crane was having a standoff with the bird. That was so cool. Well, later, we were up in Lamar Valley, and we woke up really early before sunrise, and we went out looking for wolves, and boom, we had a wolf feeding on a carcass. And I was in this one pullout by myself, and all these wolf watchers and photographers were at this other pullout in which they had like this small mound or hill in which they stood on top and were able to get a great view of the wolf and the carcass, probably better than the view I got. Well, after about 3 hours of watching this wolf, it eventually left the carcass, it crossed the river, and then it started coming in my direction. It got closer and closer, which was super exciting because I was able to get some cool videos and photos of this wolf. Well, the young black wolf, it wanted to cross the road, but as the wolf started to move, so did all of the wolf watchers. And they all jumped in their vehicles, and then they all just cruising down the road, looking at the wolf that's on the left. And so the wolf was little stressed out. It wanted to cross the road, but it couldn't because there was all these cars there that were following it. So the wolf continued down, walking along the road, eventually walked in front of me, which I got a cool video of, and then it continued on west down the road. And then after the wolf came through, so did all these cars, this entire train of cars, one by one, just slowly following the wolf. Well, after hanging around the area for a bit and talking to a few folks that eventually did join me in that little pullout, I hopped in my vehicle, I took off, and the wolf did successfully eventually cross the road, and the big long train of cars eventually disappear. So that's good. So the wolf is right back to having its own little personal time again. Lamar Valley is also, of course, scattered with bison this time of year. And of course, those bison are now having calves, which are known as red dogs. So I decided to stop on one of my trips toward Mammoth Hot Springs and film the herd of bison. And while filming the herd of bison, there was this one calf that actually started nursing on the mother, which is really cool. So I got a really neat video of this calf nursing on the mother. So that was a rewarding sight. And then one of the final animal sightings that I had on that trip was a black bear. So I was traveling around Tower area, and I went to go and look for black bears, and boom, there was one sleeping in a tree, and it looked like this big fluffy blob just up in the tree. And I stopped and set up my camera. I was the only one there. I had my camera focused on the sleeping bear, and people just come and go, and they're like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Black bear." And they saw us sleeping, and cool, and then move on, because you know, apparently to everybody else, a sleeping bear is not that exciting. But when you have patience, you get to see exciting stuff. Well, a ranger eventually came by and was like, "Is this still sleeping?" And I was like, "Yeah." And the ranger's like, "Yeah, I'll probably be asleep for another 30, 45 minutes. I'm like, "Cool, I'm gonna sit here and wait." And that's exactly what I did. And so the bear woke up, it started to scoot its way down, butt first, and then it got to the bottom, and I was like, boom, yes, I got the shot. And then I relocated and I filmed the bear forage a little bit before moving on. So those were some of the cool experiences, or some of the cool sightings that I had in Yellowstone National Park while working the multi-day tour. So it was definitely a rewarding sight. Got some good footage. I was quite satisfied overall. And Yellowstone, you know, is just an amazing place, very beautiful. So I was happy to be able to spend 4 days up in Yellowstone. Yeah, it was great. Well, that was some of the highlights for that trip. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more vlogs from me, Trevor LeClaire, here on Trekking with Trevor, then be sure to subscribe to my channel, Trekking with Trevor. And don't forget to hit the notification button, because you don't want to miss out on future adventures. Yeah!